Hello and welcome back to HWLRADIO.com. You're here with your main man Hollywood, and like I told y'all, I had a double up for you. I would have did it yesterday, but I had a couple 3D prints, an order that I had to fulfill. So I did that, and now I'm back to bust your head once again on why Biden is way worse than Trump, and anybody saying that Biden is better is accepting payola. And my number one thing is this. Trump's been in office for 4 years. For 4 years. It ain't to 7 months, and that's when a pandemic came. I'd like to know what would make Biden so much better, and then his plan. He doesn't have a plan. Trump doesn't have a plan. But Biden's plan was to keep the borders open and let everybody come in here and spread the virus around way much worse than it will spread it around. But he keeps stating that you let Trump get reelected, we're going to have a whole different world. Like, the world wasn't that dang on different when he got elected last time. So that's what I'm saying. Y'all gotta wake up, man. Y'all gotta wake up. Then they tried to use the BET Awards to drag in as many. That's the most biased stuff you could ever watch. Like, if I'm watching something and they ain't giving two people a chance, then you really can't look to them people for the truth on the other side. That's just like you listening to the media on Donald Trump is just like somebody else listening to your baby daddy or your baby mama, your ex one, or your ex about you. That's even better, your ex. But I don't know. Baby mamas and baby daddies, they really be hating each other. So that might be the good one to use. But as y'all see, I keep coming back to you with facts. I'm showing you facts on this stuff. But Donald Trump was not lying, man. Dude been telling the truth. And if you gonna keep on letting these Democrats trick you out of coming together and coming up with something to put in the platinum plan, then you done failed. You done failed the next generation. You failing your people now. You gotta be smarter. But without further ado, here goes nothing, and here goes evidence, numbers, I don't know what, out of infinity. Oh, why this nigga is not the one to be trusted and put in. The guy was a liar, and the guy is shown to still be lying. The guy was dirty, and if he ain't showed us that he's dirty, he showed us that he's still lying. So that definitely hints to the nigga is still dirty. There goes the video.
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Gladys the first woman in her family, in 1,000 generations, to be able to get to university?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania don't come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground, and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that Senator Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British speechwriter.
I was thinking on the way over here. Now that's a little too much, because as you point out, what's behind the words? What's there? And a lot of people, the rap on Biden has always been that it's just a surface.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
It cannot measure the health of our children,
The health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that it was unintentional.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given an F.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
To the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stump.
The great communicator. Strike that. The great imitator.
You don't steal verbatim,
or when you do, as he did 99% of the time, you give credit.
Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising.
Is it a wise idea, though, to take something that personal, anyway, from another politician and try and appropriate it to your own campaign?
I think it was a stupid thing to appropriate material that was really very personal, that was someone else's.
Most people didn't know who he was, you know, Joe Biden, and now they're going to say, oh yeah, he's the guy who plagiarized.
That's a lot of people.
Politically, that's devastating.
These clips are devastating. He looks like a Joe Biden wind-up doll with somebody else's words coming out.
If they're going to do things that are stupid as well as immoral, then they're probably too dumb to have the job of president.
Voters are going to have to decide whether he was dishonest or dumb.
Senator Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
And I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Joe Biden was victimized by the truth.
Bye-bye Biden. He may not know it yet, but I think this is going to be very difficult for him to recover.
Is Joe Biden dead meat, yes or no?
I think so.
Bob?
It's in terminal condition.
Terminal. Eleanor?
Yes, unless he comes in third in Iowa.
Morton?
Dying.
I say dead. We'll be right back.
3 people who have been appointed to the Supreme Court. They are conservatives, and while Democrats want to pretend that these are devil-horned crazy people who want to deny people abortions on demand and kill off your health care, they just have this crazy idea that we read the document and it's either legal or it's not legal. Well, today, Comey Barrett, there we go, ACB, has now become the latest justice to join the High Court. Donald Trump delivering on a promise, and one that he will be richly rewarded by millions of voters who don't care about the tweets, they care about the court.
We must never take this radiant inheritance for granted. We must never lose confidence in our history, our heritage, or in our heroes.
So immediately, what have the Democrats now started to scream? Well, they have screamed, pack the court. There are only 9 people, and like a kid who is losing at a game of Snap, they now say that there should be 11 justices, 13 justices, 15 justices, until, of course, the majority are the ones who don't read the law, but just interpret the law. Essentially, they rewrite the law despite the fact that they are accountable to no one. These are the lefties who have promised up front that they will pull Biden to the wild left. AOC tweeting that we must expand the court. What about this bloke? This guy is a US senator. He would be in a position to expand the number. He would be able to take it to a best of 11, best of 13, best of 15, something that hasn't happened for 100 years.
Well, we got to look at our federal courts as a whole, Rachel, because we've seen hundreds of conservative judges put on circuit courts and district courts all over this country in the last 4 years. In many cases, too young, too unqualified, and too far right to be allowed to sit peaceably without our re-examining the process, the results, and the consequences.
So, of course, for all of this to happen, you have to have the Trojan horse that is the Biden candidacy. Biden is the lipstick on the crazy lefty pig. He's the one who says, I'm a centrist, but of course his vice president is potentially going to be somebody who, by her own ranking, is the most liberal person, the most over-the-top Green-style MP in the federal parliament in the United States. But have a look at this. When Biden was asked about court packing, about behaving like a kid who's losing at a game of snap where you just keep adding the judges, when his answers started to go south, his staff literally push the media out of the way, and the media don't push back.
One of the things that is important is that keep in mind, although they're going to vote on Barrett, I think today.
Imagine if you tried to do that to an Australian reporter. They would quite rightly tell you to go jump. But these people, they are not covering Biden, they are covering for Biden. Which brings me to the term the Jedi mind trick. I do this quite a lot, but I understand there'd be quite a few of you who have not seen Star Wars. So what am I talking about? For those of you who haven't seen Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the Jedi Master. He can use mind control to be able to get people to do exactly the opposite of what they should.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.
Of course, they were the droids that they were looking for. Well, perfect example of the Jedi mind trick. You saw it, I saw it. Joe Biden got confused about George W. Bush and Donald Trump. Watch his wife say, Trump, Trump, when he gets the name wrong.
Country we're going to be. 4 more years of George, is going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.
But these are not the droids you're looking for. Move along, move along. This was the fact-checking from the Washington Post. No, Biden did not confuse George W. Bush and Donald Trump. Liz Storer, this is the whole absurdity of what's happening in the United States right now. You see it with your own eyes, but it's not happening. You see the riots, but it's peaceful protesting. You see him confuse George W. Bush going for a second term in 2004 that he would have campaigned against, and losing the plot, and his wife saying, Trump, Trump, but you didn't see it.
These clips are literally stacking up by the week as they try to give this guy a bit more airtime closer to the election, and all we're seeing is more and more as he completely stacks it. The media, as you've already said, completely cover for him. We see headlines coming out making sure there's nothing to see here. These are not the droids you're looking for. And yet it's as plain as the nose on your face. This guy is not up to the task.
Barnaby Joyce, you're the great straight shooter of the federal parliament, but it is amazing when the media try to pretend people what is directly in front of you, you can't see. And frankly, normal people saw that coming in the 2019 election. And look, I know you're not at all in on Trump, but the way these guys are literally, they're not covering Biden, they're covering up for Biden.
Well, let's get one thing straight. If I have a choice between Trump and Biden, I'm going to pick Trump every time, like every time. Biden, the poor fella, I mean, he really is struggling, not in politics, in life. I mean, this guy cannot be leader of the great democratic hope of the Western world as we're up against the Communist People's Republic of China. It's insane. My issue always has been between the two of them, couldn't we have picked someone better? But if we've now got Trump and Biden, well, mate, I'm Trump all the way, because the other guy is just, mate, it's disastrous. We can't possibly have him. If you're going to pick him, well, you might as well walk around Rookwood Cemetery and find yourself another candidate, because... You know, why not?
All right.
Coffin's as good as that candidate.